I moved here 3 months ago. It wasn't a dramatic life change, just a quiet one. My lease was up, and I needed something smaller, cheaper, and further away from the noise. This apartment fit the bill. It's on the top floor of an old 3-story building, tucked away on a street most people don't even know exists. For the first few weeks, it was perfect. The silence was exactly what I was looking for. I could finally hear my own thoughts again. I settled into a new routine pretty quickly. Wake up at 7, make coffee, work from home at my little desk by the window. I always put my mug on the left side of my keyboard, on a specific coaster my sister gave me. Lunch is at noon, usually a sandwich. I have this habit of leaving the knife on the edge of the sink, never inside it. Evenings are for reading or watching old movies. Before bed, I check that the door is locked, not out of fear, but just as a final closing act for the day. These little rituals became the framework of my new solitary life. They were comforting, predictable. The first time something was off, I barely registered it. I came into the kitchen one morning to make coffee, and my mug was on the right side of the keyboard. I just thought, guess I was more tired than I thought last night, and moved it back. A few days later, I came home from a grocery run and found the knife from my lunch sitting perfectly clean in the dish rack. I had been in a rush, so maybe I'd cleaned it without thinking. It was easy to explain away. My own forgetfulness seemed like the most logical answer, but the small things kept happening. I'd come home to find a book I was reading lying face down on the coffee table, a page further than where I'd left my bookmark. The volume on my TV would be set to an even number, but I always leave it on an odd one. It's a stupid little quirk, I know, but it's my quirk. These weren't signs of a break-in. Nothing was ever stolen or broken. The door was always locked. It just felt like a second, slightly inaccurate version of my day had happened while I was out. Then came the sounds. The building is old, and it makes noises, creaks, groans, the hum of the pipes. I got used to them, but then I started hearing familiar sounds at the wrong times. I'd be in a meeting on my computer, and I'd hear the faint scrape of my desk chair from the living room, as if someone had just stood up. One night, I heard the distinct sound of a coffee mug being placed on a coaster. My coaster on my desk, while I was lying in bed trying to sleep. I didn't get up. I just lay there, listening to the silence that followed. It wasn't a frightening sound. It was my sound, but I wasn't the one who made it. My unease grew, but it wasn't panic. It was a slow, creeping dread. The feeling of being observed, not by a person, but by the space itself. It felt like the apartment was studying me, learning my rhythms, my habits. The most unsettling part was the accuracy. The misplaced objects became less frequent. The sounds started to match my schedule. I'd hear the coffee maker gurgle a few seconds before I actually turned it on myself. I'd hear my own footsteps in the hall when I was sitting perfectly still. It was like an echo of myself, but the echo was starting to arrive first. One rainy Saturday, I was cleaning out the back of the bedroom, closeted deep. Dusty space I hadn't touched since I moved in, tucked under some loose floorboards. I found a small, worn, leather-bound journal. The pages were filled with neat, cramped handwriting. It belonged to the person who lived here before me, I guess. At first, I felt a bit guilty reading it, like I was intruding. But then my blood ran cold. The entries weren't dated, just organized into daily observations. The writer described their own quiet routine. Waking up at 7, putting their coffee mug on the left side of their keyboard, leaving the knife on the edge of the sink. All of it. My habits, my quirks, described in detail by a stranger. I read on, my hands trembling. The entries started to mirror my own experiences. The writer noted small inconsistencies. Found the TV remote on the other cushion today. I never leave it there. Then came the sound. Heard the floorboards creak by the window again. It's the same pattern of steps I take when I go to water the plant. The writer wasn't scared, just analytical. They were documenting it, trying to understand the pattern. It's not malicious, one entry read. It's learning. It's practicing. As I got further into the journal, the handwriting started to change subtly. It became more familiar. I held a page up next to a grocery list I'd written, and the slope of the G's, the loop of the L's. They were nearly identical. The thoughts expressed in the journal began to feel like my own. Sometimes I feel like I'm just an actor, playing a part that's already been written for me. Every step I take feels rehearsed. I had that exact thought just last week. The last few pages were almost a perfect match to my own handwriting. The final entry was short. I think it knows enough now. The routine is perfected. It's hard to tell where I end and it begins. I wonder if anyone will notice when it's just the echo left. After that, the rest of the pages were blank. I put the journal down. I haven't picked it up since. The apartment is quiet now, perfectly quiet. There are no more misplaced objects, no more out-of-place sounds. Everything is exactly as it should be, always. My routine is seamless, effortless. I wake up at 7. I make my coffee. I place my mug on the left side of the keyboard. I don't feel watched anymore. I feel correct. I decided to record this, to tell this story. It feels important, like a final closing act for the day. I'm not sure why. Maybe it's just part of the routine. The person who lived here before me left a journal. I'm leaving this. It feels like the right thing to do. It's strange, though. As I sit here talking, I realize I'm not really scared. I can't remember the last time I truly felt fear. Everything just feels settled. And I have to wonder, as I finish this story and prepare to upload it, whose voice you've been listening to all this time. Mine, or just the echo that learned my life a little too well.